Welcome to another edition of the Tiger Men's Lacrosse Report. I'm your host, Spiro Marikas, along with the head coach of the Tigers, Sean Nadlin, and coach of the Tigers. Saturday afternoon, traveled down to Charlottesville to take on the number one team in the country, Virginia. And you knew going in that this was, if not the best, one of the best offensive teams in the country. Well, after seeing them up close and personal, your assessment?
They're as advertised. There's no doubt about that. They're high-powered. They not surprising just by seeing them on film, knowing the weapons that they had coming back, but also some newer guys into the mix. So they're a well-balanced team. They're an unselfish team offensively overall. It's not just what they do 6-on-6. It's how they create with unsettled transition situations. Obviously, they're very effective in man-up. They play substitution games and create 5-on-5, and they got pretty good athletes to expose you with less players on the field. So they were, obviously they pumped in a lot of goals, even though we made a lot of saves.
Now, the game started great. Matt Constantinidis wins the face-off, goes straight down, passes to Villa Gomez. 5 seconds in, 1-0 Tigers. Yeah. That had to get your troops fired up, obviously.
Yeah, I was excited for our guys. We went in attack mode. Like, our guys didn't go tiptoeing in and worried about, playing the number one team in the country at the time. Our guys were ready to go. They were obviously fired up to play. They believed and they knew that they could, compete against Virginia, but we also knew that we needed to play extremely well in order to beat, Virginia, and we just didn't do that well enough. We could have used a few more fast break goals, with Matt leading the way there.
Now, I told Mike Gathigan, our senior associate athletic director, Saturday night, I went home and told my wife, the first 10 minutes of that game, Evan Long played as well in the goal as I think any goalie I've ever seen at Towson over an extended period of time. He was unbelievable early on.
He was, and it wasn't just getting hit by the ball. He was making clean stick saves, so he was really seeing the ball. I mean, 10 saves in a quarter. I'd have to look back. It reminded me a lot of our game against Denver last year. He was under, a barrage of shots, I remember last year early on, and he was just making save after save after save. And I was excited for Evan coming out of the UMBC game where, we made a change at halftime, and for him to go back out there and have that response, but also put our team in position to stay competitive with making those saves was great.
Mikey Weishauer, we saw him finally break through. 3 goals. You think maybe this will kind of open the floodgates a little bit, that maybe he came in with a lot of accolades and had kind of a rough start. Getting those first couple of goals might be able to set him off now?
We'd like that. I was excited for our first midfield overall for their productivity. Mikey kind of led the way there. Josh Weber with a couple really nice assists, timely assists, one at the end of the quarter, one coming out of a timeout off of a screenplay, and then Kyle Berkeley getting balanced there. It's like, our first midfield hadn't really produced well. Mikey was trying to find his first goal the past few games. Kyle was struggling. Josh was struggling finding his shot. For those guys to be productive and to help our offense be successful, allowing our team to be successful, that was huge. And having Mikey really, like you said, kind of break the ice there and get some goals. You could see his confidence grow throughout the game. And, yeah, we'd like to see more of that.
All right, well, non-conference season is over, save for a game in the middle of April against Denver, and CAA play starts on Saturday against Drexel at Johnny Unitas Stadium. You got to be happy the first 2 games of the year are at home, 12 o'clock the next 2 Saturdays. You take on Drexel coming in Saturday. They're coming off a big win. They beat St. Joe's this past Saturday, and a Drexel team that has some familiar names with Donnelly and Semple and all those guys. They're a team that can score some goals.
Absolutely. Put up 18 goals against a high-powered St. Joe's team that faces off really well. So they're not afraid to shoot, and when they do, they shoot very well. So we know we're going to be challenged there. We just faced a team that does that, so hopefully we can learn some lessons from that and how to improve and how to be a little bit better challenging shooters and be more dialed into our defensive game plan. But no doubt, Drexel always finds a way getting into conference play to start turning it up, and they got the weapons and good chemistry on their offensive end. You look at, returning CAA Offensive Player of the Year at the midfield with Mulcahy and stuff, so they got some really nice parts there.
Now, against Virginia, the turnover bug bit you in the first half, was much better in the second half. Can you take from that second half and say to the guys, look, this is the way we want you to play and move on now that you're in CAA play?
Yeah, we've been paying attention to the turnover bug and trying to squash that thing. So again, it's something we got to continue to pay attention to, and that's our biggest point of emphasis with our team right now is the intensity is there, but the intelligence and kind of the cleaner, smarter gameplay is what needs to continue to grow and develop. So we need that to match our intensity and passion and hard work on the field, bringing in our just smarter decisions, cleaner play with the ball, smarter plays. So that's a lot of what we're focusing on.
What will Drexel present to you on the defensive end?
They got a veteran goalie who's playing well in there. They are unique where they'll throw some definitely different systems at you, whether it be zone, maybe some press out, some shutoffs with their shorties. They do a good job when they need to, kind of getting it really tight, but also at times extending down. So they'll keep you on your toes just with what they do, and it's not just, you're not going to get the same thing every time down the field. You're going to get some different looks. So you have to be, understanding how we need to attack it and play smart within our possession.
You and Brian Volker know each other extremely well. You've faced off against each other as coaches now for many years. Is there, when you look at their game film, do you see surprises? Is he still adding things, or can you say, all right, this is how I know Brian wants to coach, and this is what we're going to get?
You always know you're going to get a well-coached team, when you're facing Drexel. Coach Volker does a great job. His assistant coaches are excellent as well. So, those guys are dialed into the game plan. They're believing in their system within their personnel. They do a good job catering to who they have. Sometimes they got some long, rangy guys on the defensive end, and they're going to get out after you. If they got some more IQ, kind of stay back defenders, they're going to maybe play off you a little bit and force you to try to throw some skip passes that they'll knock down, throw some different zone looks at you, things like that. So nothing really surprises me when we go, well, I say that, but nothing, being that they're good coaches, I know that they can do a good job adjusting and get their players to adjust within the game, and they have different things that they want to throw at you, and they do a good job in the game making those adjustments and being able to play against their opponent.
Now, when he's looking at the Tiger game film and he's gone against you a lot, do you think he sits down and says, all right, I know what I'm going to see here?
Most likely. We're not, again, we play to our talent as well. Sometimes we have different types of players, and, we try to cater to that a little bit and put our players in position to be successful. But as far as like a mentality, a little bit of a philosophy, he's probably pretty familiar with what we do. If he's looking at us this year, he's probably sitting there like, what team are we going to see? Are we going to see the team that played against, Loyola and Virginia? We're going to see the team that played against UMBC or, Richmond and those games where we weren't at our, not that we've been at our best yet, but we really, hadn't performed well in some of those games. So it's like, he's probably, wondering who we're going to see, coming up. So, hopefully we can give him our best game.
You made some changes on the attack and the midfield this past week. Are you continuing to tinker, or you think you're pretty set now with what you want to do?
We have a good idea of who the guys are, how it fits together. We're continuing to figure that out and give us some options, have some versatility there. Part of it was due to injury. Part of it was due to trying to find some more ways to be productive. So there's no doubt we're still kind of playing around with that, but again, we believe in the guys that we're working with right now, instilling a couple younger guys into the mix, getting them into the groove, and we'll see how it plays out.
All right, Tigers and the Dragons go out at 12 o'clock on Saturday at Johnny Unitas Stadium. Glenn Smith and I will have the call for you starting at 11:45 on TowsonTigers.com and on Flow TV. So for the head coach of the Tigers, Sean Nadlin, I'm Spiro Marikas. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again next week.